What's up, everyone? Welcome to the July 5th edition of DraftKings Tournament Plays presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, use the code AWESEMO when you sign up and make a deposit at Prize Picks. You'll receive one free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum. You'll also receive a 100% deposit bonus up to $100 on that first deposit. We have a 12-game MLB slate tonight. There are some weather concerns in several different spots, so be sure to watch Live Before Lock in the hour before lock for more up-to-date weather information. But for now, assuming all of these games are going to play, we're going to take a look at three of the top tournament stacks and three of the top tournament pitchers on the top stacks tool and top pitchers tool on the stokastic.com website. Starting with the top three stacks. Number three, the Toronto Blue Jays are taking on Adrian Martinez tonight in Oakland. Tough park to hit. You also typically don't get warm weather there, whereas most other places during the summer that are outdoors, you do. Both of those things working against the Blue Jays. But Martinez at AAA this year did have a 26.4% strikeout percentage, but a 4.66 xFIP. He had really bad numbers in terms of run prevention, but also was pitching in the PCL, so you can't hold that against him too much. He doesn't project as a very good major league pitcher, however, so this does set up as a good spot for Toronto outside of the weather and the park. They're only projected for about 1% ownership, with a 6% chance of being the top scoring stack. They have a 114 WRC plus and 173 ISO on their active roster. Number two, the Atlanta Braves taking on Andre Payante. He's been very good at getting ground balls this year. A 3.94 xFIP is solid. High ground ball percentage, as I mentioned, but he only strikes out 14.3% of hitters. And going up against an Atlanta team that has a ton of power, a 204 ISO on their active roster to go along with a 115 WRC plus. Just not a lot of margin for error for Payante here. You could certainly see Atlanta do a lot of damage in a hurry if he's not locating well, considering that he doesn't miss bats. Atlanta's projected for about 4% ownership with a 6% chance of being the top scoring stack. And number one, the New York Yankees taking on Jose Quintana. Quintana overall has been decent this season, 3.86 xFIP, 20.9% strikeout percentage, but he has glaring splits where he has struck out 30.2% of lefties, only 19.1% of righties. He's also allowed a 211 expected ISO to right-handed hitters. The Yankees lineup, of course, has tons of right-handed power. Aaron Judge leading the way, but also Giancarlo Stanton, Josh Donaldson, Gleyber Torres, Jose Trevino is having a solid season as a catcher. You have DJ LeMahieu. It's a very, very high upside offense. Their projected lineup only has one left-handed hitter in it, and that's Anthony Rizzo, who hits pitching from either side very well. So certainly a dangerous spot for Quintana, a solid spot for the Yankees. They're projected for 8% aggregate ownership with an 8% chance of being the top scoring stack. Now looking at the top three tournament pitchers, number three, Jeffrey Springs, $9,700 taking on the Boston Red Sox tonight in Fenway. It is a park downgrade for Springs, and he hasn't pitched in about 10 days. After missing his last start because of a family medical emergency. But he did throw 102 pitches in his last start. So even if you think maybe he's pulled back a little bit because of missing that start, even if he were to get to like 90 pitches or so, he's going to look like a solid option. He has a 27.8% strikeout percentage this year, 3.11 xFIP. He's only projected for 4% ownership, despite having a 13% chance of being a top two pitcher. The matchup against Boston is less than ideal, but pitching isn't very good on this slate. Springs is good, and it's also not much of a concern that he's going up against a right-handed heavy Boston lineup because he has a very good changeup that he throws about 45% of the time to right-handed hitters. He's managed to strike out right-handed hitters at a 28.5% clip. Certainly not getting enough ownership right now, despite the tough matchup. Number two, Jameson Taillon, $10,000 price tag, facing his former team in Pittsburgh. The Pirates are one of the worst offenses in baseball, 94 WRC plus, 24.9% strikeout percentage. Taillon's not been great at striking hitters out this year with a 19.8% strikeout percentage, but he does have a 3.67 xFIP. The Pirates only have a 3.8 implied run total. Taillon's only projected for 7% ownership, despite having a 14% chance of being a top two pitcher. And number one, Nick Pivetta, $10,300 facing the Rays in Fenway. It is a park upgrade for Tampa Bay. Pivetta has also seemingly been lucky in terms of limiting power so far this year. He's only allowed a 126 actual ISO to righties, but a 215 expected ISO, 148 actual ISO to lefties, but a 216 expected ISO. But Tampa Bay doesn't have that much power in their lineup. They also have a 23.6% strikeout percentage on their active roster. A 23.2% strikeout percentage on their active roster. Pivetta himself has a 23.6% strikeout percentage this season. So plenty of upside for him. He's projected for about 11% ownership with a 16% chance of being a top two pitcher. So to recap, the top three tournament stacks. Number 3, the Toronto Blue Jays. Number 2, the Atlanta Braves. Number 1, the New York Yankees. The top 3 tournament pitchers. Number 3, Jeffrey Springs. Number 2, Jameson Taillon. And number 1, Nick Pivetta.